Добро утро и добре дошли! Аз съм Деница Димитрова, управител на Мениджър Медиа Груп, и за мен и екипа ни е удоволствие да ви приветстваме на втората годишна конференция за транспорт, логистика и спедиция, организирана от Мениджър. Какво е общото между парче шоколад в магазина, чип в смартфона ви и самолет кацащ в България? Всички те зависят от веригите за доставки, които днес са под наистина най-голямо напрежение от десетилетия. Когато един контейнер напусне пристанището в Азия, за да стигне до магазина в Европа, той минава през море, небе, железопътни линии, складове, гранични пунктове, митници. Всяка спирка по този път е като сърдечен ритъм в глобалната икономика и ако той се наруши, в цялата система това се усеща. Днес живеем в свят, в който този пулс често се забързва, забавя, понякога се и прекъсва заради санкции, нови мита, протекционизъм, климатични промени, регулации, войни и така нататък. Именно заради това логистиката вече не е просто невидимата инфраструктура на бизнеса, а всъщност е един стратегически фактор за растеж, за устойчивост и за конкурентоспособност. Тук на нашата конференция днес сме събрали хора, които не просто следят тези промени, а реално ги управляват. Днес ще говорим за адаптация, как секторът се адаптира към новите реалности. Ще говорим и за свързаност от Шенген и еврозоната до глобалните вериги на доставки. И разбира се, ще говорим и за иновативност, за да може транспортът, логистиката и спедицията да не догонват, а да създават всъщност ритъма. Изказвам благодарности към нашите партньори, които ни подкрепиха за тази конференция отново и вярват в общата ни мисия. И сега ще поканя на сцената Иван Нончев, главен редактор на Мениджър Нюз, който ще модерира първия панел с неговите събеседници, а от мен приятни часове.
Благодаря ти, Дени. Здравейте, Иван Нончев се казвам, главен редактор на сайта Мениджър Нюз. За мен е чест да открия това събитие, което се надявам във второто си издание да затвърди позицията си на форум, който обединява водещите имена в сектора и задава тона на дискусията за процесите, които вълнуват компаниите, разбира се, не само от вашия бранш, както и Деница каза, общо взето цялата икономика, тъй като транспорт е нейната кръвоносна система. Днешната дискусия трябваше да започне по малко по-различен начин. Бяхме направили покана доста отдавна към Министерството на транспорта. Трябваше да има техен представител, все пак с когото да поговорим за това какво държавната администрация планира в сферата на транспорта, логистиката и спедицията. За съжаление, в последния момент ни уведомиха, че поради ангажименти няма да може да присъства нито министър, нито някой от неговите заместници. И разбира се, ние уважаваме решението на всеки да подрежда, разбира се, служебните си ангажименти, както намери за добре, или да присъства или да не присъства на събития, които смята или не смята, че трябва. Но все пак, моето лично мнение пък и на екипа е, че е хубаво институциите да присъстват на форуми като този. Не само от уважение към сектори, неговите представители, с които работят ежедневно, и защото все пак като държавна администрация, на която все пак и ние като граждани и вие като бизнес плащаме да вършат тази услуга. Част от услугата е всъщност воденето на диалог с секторите, които обслужват и за които работят и които оперират с средствата, да кажем, по оперативните програми на Европейския съюз, законодателството, което се кове и така нататък. Но пак казвам, това е една съвсем добронамерена препоръка, нищо негативно. Надявам се в бъдеще все пак да имаме възможност да си говорим и с представителите на Министерство на транспорта по тези теми. Сега след това кратко отклонение, да кажа за какво ще си говорим в следващите няколко минути. Не случайно заглавихме първия панел от дискусията Терминал 3 ефектите за България, защото този огромен проект, за който ще стане дума след малко, пък и не само за него, но като цяло началото на строителството на третия терминал на летище София, това летище започва историята си още през 30-те години на миналия век, като една проста писта с черен път и една скромна стаечка за чакащите, пристигащи и заминаващи пътници. Развива се до международно през 40-те години с няколко поредни реконструкции, така че да могат най-големите джамбоджетове да кацат тук през 70-80-те години. През 2006 се появи Терминал 2. И през 2024 всъщност през летище София са минали близо 8 милиона пътници, което е огромно число и всъщност показва колко е важна тази инфраструктура за икономиката на България. И затова за мен е чест да водим именно тази дискусия с нашите гости днес. Каня тук на сцената при мен Хесус Кабайеро, който е изпълнителен директор и управляващ председател на управляващия борд на СОФ Кънект, концесионер на летище София. Заповядайте. Мануела Несъл, която е country мениджър за България на Европейската банка за възстановяване и развитие. Също ще участва в панела. Пабло Ескотя, партньор и управляващ от дигиталния отдел на Кърни. Също заповядайте и Владимир Михайловски, който е представител на на Световната банка. Международната финансова корпорация, която е част от групата на Световната банка, извинявайте. Сега, за останалата част от панела превключваме на английски език, така че ако някой има нужда да ползва превод в реално време, има хедсетови устройства, които са на масата в дъното, така че можете да ги използвате. Thank you for being here. In a couple of minutes we will also be joined online by Майкъл Стантън-Гедис, who is a member of just excuse me. ACI Europe, yes, member of ACI Europe, who will tell us a little bit more about the European regional airport networks. Sorry. But before that, and before we start the discussion as a whole, I suggest we see a short video, and then I'll give the word to Hesus. Okay, Jesus, thank you again for supporting also this event. But before discussion, I was thinking that during the pandemic, there was a shortage of passengers. In the next couple of years, the passengers returned, but we had a shortage of airplanes. Now they're also starting to show up, and Boeing, Airbus, and the rest of the constructing teams are working. But are we getting close to the point where there will be a shortage of airports? And as we have seen, we're doing something about that.
This is a very good question. Is working the sound? Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think
okay. So, first of all, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining, and thank you very much for Managers Magazine for having me, and also our distinguished speaker to join us to this panel to explain the beauty of this project and all the benefits that this project is going to bring to Bulgaria. One of these benefits and strategic benefits that it's going to bring is exactly what you are now introducing, because in 4 or 5 years, the airlines, they are receiving many aircrafts, especially the airlines in Europe, and they will be looking for airports and capacity on the ground, and those airports that are ready will be the winner. So, and there are no many airports in Europe that are now deploying and executing this ambitious project to be ready in 4 or 5 years with a huge capacity to allocate this traffic that is coming. So definitely this is a very, very big strategic advantage that Bulgaria will have through these projects. I prepared a quickly short presentation to go through the main figures about the features and the characteristics of the Terminal 3. So we move on, Gancho, with the presentation. So the main characteristics of this airport is we reflected in our strategy in the design. So our strategy is very basic. We want to become the first 5-star regional airport in Europe. And so this design is thought and done to deliver the best passenger experience and to become a hub for the region. So this is already implemented in the design of this terminal, and this is going to give us these 2 ambitious goals: best passenger experience and becoming a hub for the region. Then, if we continue, Gancho, with the presentation, you will have here an idea of the new Terminal 3, because during the video you saw combination between Terminal 2, Terminal 3. So what is the Terminal 3 is going to look like? So this is the Terminal 2, and this is the new Terminal 3. This will be combined, both terminals, Terminal 2 and 3. They will look like this, and then will be work as one terminal. So the new Terminal 3 is like more than doubling the current Terminal 2. And it's going to give us this capacity for more than 20 million passengers per year. And this is the largest capacity in the region, and will give us this competitive advantage that we were talking about. And then this will be, because the capital airport is the gateway to Bulgaria, so this is the first image that we are giving to our visitors. So we need to give them the sense of place. So this is designed inspired by the nature of Bulgaria, so you will see more characteristic in the design about the sense of place of becoming and welcoming and landing in Bulgaria. So as we mentioned, it will be connected to Terminal 2, and more things about this new Terminal 3. Every passenger coming to Bulgaria will land in the new Terminal 3. So the first thing that we'll see will be the new Terminal 3 with nice views because this is what many passengers, when they are coming to visit us, they're impressed when they are landing, and this is huge Vitosha mountain. And more things are, in order to achieve this becoming a hub for the region, so what we design is that the passenger can do a very easy connection. So in 5 minutes, they can reach any single gate. So we want to become a hub for the region, but not like Istanbul or other airports where you need 1 hour for connecting and walking 1 hour from one gate to another. Here, every single gate is 5 minutes walking distance, and you can do easy connections. If you are coming from Qatar and flying to Varna, so you can do a very easy connection in Sofia Airport, or even from Istanbul and flying to London, so you can connect very easily through Sofia Airport. So this is the way to achieve this ambitious goal to become a hub. So we need to facilitate to our passenger this self-connection. And more characteristic, so this we can show more. So let's go to the next slides to explain. So we are going to have 34 gates. So this is to give us the capacity for these 20 million passengers. Half of them will be in the new Terminal 3. And the new Terminal 3 is designed with a state-of-the-art digital solution, but also to achieve this passenger experience, this 5-star, this is the highest experience in the airport industry, the highest level in quality. We are designing the interior with high volumes according to this high level of service, and thinking in every single passenger profile, because we have friends, we have families flying, so we are adapting this airport and this terminal for families with playgrounds and to have very convenient places for families, but also focusing parents, focusing pets, because more and more passengers are flying with their pets. And our business passenger, they will have fast track, and they will have more convenience, business lunches, and VIP. And our main core of our passengers are visiting relatives and friends. So all kind of profile of passenger that are already integrated in the design. And the first thing that we are doing when we are coming to the airport, if you need to do the check-in, so the check-in hall is already under construction. The check-in hall will be in the Terminal 2. So we are already installing a new baggage handling system with capacity up to 52 check-in counters and capacity to move more than 2,400 baggages per hour. So this is the capacity beyond 2056. So we will have capacity for this in this new baggage handling system for that. But also with the new technologies where the passenger will be able to do self-check-in, you can do your self-bag drop, or if you are flying with British Airways or Lufthansa, you can be attended by a check-in agent. So it will be hybrid and adapted to all kind of passenger. Then more things about the airport is the commercial areas, more than 10,000 square meter of commercial areas. This is the new security checkpoint that will be in the Terminal 3, because the passenger will do the checking in Terminal 2 if you are checking your luggage, and then you go to Terminal 3 and enter in the new security checkpoint with capacity for more than 3,200 passengers per hour. So it is 13 lanes with automatic lanes, so you don't need to take out your laptop liquid. So it's a very smooth process with fast track dedicated for business lunch or for PRM and so on. This is in line with our strategy to focus in every single passenger profile. With commercial areas, all of them will be high level to achieve this 5-star level. And if we move on, so this is the concept of census place where you have nice terrace with nice views to the airfield and to the landscape of Vitosha. The new arrival, as I mentioned, will be in Terminal 3 with 6 new baggage bell. And more things. Well, all of this combined with taking care of nature, so the new Terminal 3 will be built full carbon neutral in construction and also full carbon neutral in operation to achieve our ambitious goal to become full carbon neutral by 2036. So when this is going to happen, so we already completed the concept design, the preliminary design is done, we are moving forward with the permitting, so we are expecting to receive the construction permit by April 2026, and the first construction works will start before summer next year. So by April, May, we will start the first initial construction works for the Terminal 3. We already launched the tender for the construction in June, at the end of June this year. And so we are expecting to award the contract during 2026. So the idea is to open the terminal in 2031, April maximum. This is the deadline. But we are working to open even earlier if we can, and to close Terminal 1. So when we open Terminal 3, we will close Terminal 1, and we will only operate Terminal 3, and we will completely refurbish Terminal 2. So Terminal 3 and Terminal 2 will work as one. And the investment will be 500 million levas, and a total investment during the period of the concession more than 1.2 million levas. So this is in a nutshell. We have more things to explain and to inform, because this project is bringing a lot of benefits to Bulgaria. It will be a big game changer to the country, and will bring a lot of strategic benefits. So this is thank you for the time.
Thank you, Hesus, for this overview of everything that lies ahead for Terminal 3. It's really an enormous project, and we wish you luck with that. We will touch, later in the discussion, we will touch in detail on all the benefits that it brings, both for the economy and also socially, actually, for the region. But now I would like to invite online to the stage Майкъл Стантън-Гедис, because to place this whole project into a broader context, it's important to understand Sofia Airport's role within the European aviation network, something that you also spoke about a couple of minutes ago, and especially now when Bulgaria is already a member of the Schengen area. So Michael, who is the Director for Economics and Competition in Airports Council International, we will now share some insights on the airport's regional importance as a transport hub in the logistics. So what is your take on that?
Thank you very much, Ivan, and thank you very much for the invitation and also the good introduction from Hesús. I will talk a little bit about these important links between, as I say, the aviation sector and the economic development, but I also want to shed a bit light, why, as an international financial institutions, are we a supporter and financier of ＳОФ Кънект, of the airport, and why do we believe that aviation and this concession in particular is very important for Bulgaria's development. So aviation is clearly a growing sector, as we already heard, more airports, more planes, but it's also a huge driver for the economic growth, not only in Bulgaria, but also in the region. And as an IFI, an international financial institution, we are very concerned that there's continued growth in the economy, but there's also more connectivity with the neighboring countries and with countries afar. And we really see that aviation is a key part of that system. It can support goods trade, because the airport is not only for tourists or business traveler, it's very much also for goods traveling into the country and allowing just-in-time deliveries. Tourism, I already mentioned, is a huge potential for Bulgaria, but also for the wider region, connecting, for example, with Greece. And we also see that the airport has really a lot of benefits to bring also investments into the country. Whilst we all have online meetings, whilst we all can now work virtually, the actual business connections are needed. Sofia is a great hub for business events, also for the region, and it also is really required to bring people here, see the country, see the region, so that the region can attract more foreign direct investment, and that's very important if we connect to the Middle East or further afield, sort of bring people here to see the country. So this is really what drives the economic development and what we think is also bringing a lot of potential. Another aspect which also is really important is that why are we here as an IFI? Airports or aviation in general is also an important emitter of greenhouse gases for the EU transport sector. And as an IFI, we want airports also to become greener, to become more sustainable in the future, and to sort of do their share in making, sort of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and be sustainable. And what we see in particular is where private sectors is involved in airports, this ambition to become greener, to reduce greenhouse gases are often managed in a better way. And that's why as an IFI, we are very focused on supporting airports in their future investments. I had some slides, but frankly, it's a bit easier if I just talk on it. I want to go back a little bit to also the strategic objectives. I already said, as an IFI, we really want to promote growth in the economy. We want to promote connectivity. We want to promote sustainability. But we also want to support governments in getting the best deal out of their infrastructure. And what we really see also, and that's why sort of as EBRD we're very involved in this project, but also in several in the region, is that we want to support governments to invest in infrastructure and build the infrastructure of the future. And while
drop down, I choose.
Okay, just a moment now.
I'll just finish with that. So because governments are very constrained in their way that they can invest in infrastructure, we as EBRD, we support public-private partnerships. We want the private sector to invest in infrastructure. We want them to drive the efficiency. And we know that government budgets are very, very short. And then an important point that I wanted to make here for this particular concession, this particular PPP, is that it was done at a time where, as you said, COVID happened, where passenger numbers were dropping, where the aviation sector was really in a very difficult situation. Not like today, but that was like 2020 when everybody was grounded, when passenger numbers were down and planes couldn't fly. So the support of a financial institution, international financial institution, to the government to stick with their plan on doing a public-private partnership and to have a very transparent process, to have a very committed investor, concessionaire for this project meant that this project could go ahead and that it raised a very significant amount of financing. At the time it was 240 million debt package, out of which EBRD provided 50 million and IFC provided also significant additional financing. Then we provided also from EBRD an equity package for the airport to really make sure that it was well invested, it had the financial resources to continue its ambitious plan. And the commitment of the concessionaire was really important to now drive the investments that have already happened, but also set it up for that very big ambition that Hesús presented to you for Terminal 3, for raising the future investments and going ahead with their very ambitious plans. And I just wanted to make this point because it was a very difficult time when this sort of happened, where nobody could foresee what the next 2-3 years could bring. And now as we are coming out of this cycle, have been out of the cycle and see the growth happening, it's very great to see that this project is sort of going for bigger and better and with a huge ambition for also decarbonization to 2036. And that's also something that we have supported, and that has driven sort of our contribution to this, ambitious project. Stop here for the next.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Now I hope we have solved our technical issues with Michael, and I give the stage to you, Майкъл Стантън-Гедис from Airports Council International.
Good morning. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Welcome. Thank you for the welcome online. I'm speaking today on behalf of the Trade Industry Association for Airports in Europe. So ACI Europe, the membership includes 600 airports in 55 countries. And Sofia and the ＳOФ Кънект concession is one of our recent success stories. So I'm very happy to be able to speak to you online about what we see as the importance of airports. And I'm picking up on a few themes that we heard from the previous speakers, and I think Hesús finished on a point about the importance of the new terminal T3 for the country. And I was going to conclude on this and say that the importance of airport expansion of terminals for Bulgaria, for Sofia, but across Europe is a lot more than just the jobs that go into the construction, the steel, the concrete, the glass in these terminal buildings, but it's about the multiplier effect that airports have on their economies. Let me share I'll run through some higher level numbers and aggregate figures that we have studied about this issue at ACI Europe. When we think broadly about the economic contribution of airports, there are four categories, and we can see them as layered layers of an onion around the airport. There's the smallest category is what's most visible and we think about most often. It's direct employment and income at the airport, on the airport site, and the businesses around the airport. That airport is supplied by supporting industries broadly in a country and across borders who provide indirect economic contributions. And then there's an induced impact, which is from the spending of those people in the supply chain in their own communities and their own impact. And finally, the broadest category is what we call the catalytic impact. This is reflection of the economic reality that airports are facilitators. Airports enable trade, they enable investment, they support productivity growth in services industries, and especially in the emerging digital services sector that's very strong in Sofia. And they support tourism. This schematic shows concretely how this catalytic impact works through an economy and why the importance of capacity at the airport, and we heard Hesús talk about the strategic advantage of having airport capacity, is important for firms when it comes to their location decisions. It's important for supporting employment in knowledge-intensive sectors. And this leads to spillover effects into the wider economy. We can see the strength of this looking at the growth of domestic product per person, per capita GDP in the regions, the sub-regions across Europe. So the darker colored sub-regions in this chart show us the regions that have had the highest GDP growth per person over the past decade. And I think you'll recognize yourselves in this chart. It doesn't go as far as saying that, of course, we're not saying the airport is the driver of all economic development, but they are necessary and interconnected contributors. So you need investment in the airport to support the dynamic economic growth that we see. And at the same time, a country's economic growth is what demands more investment into the airport. If we bring this closer to Sofia, we can see that Sofia Airport over the past decade has performed better than the average EU airport. Growth rates have been consistently above the year-on-year passenger growth rates in other regions of Europe. And this strong growth is what supports the development of Bulgaria's economy and Sofia's economy. When we have quantified, working with independent academic researchers called SEO Economics last year, the contribution, while not exactly comparable to work that ACI Europe had performed in 2014, we can still look at the magnitude of the impacts and see that airport passengers, air connectivity has grown, and that has also been correlated with an increase in the GDP contribution of airports to Sofia. So the GDP number is what is the airport contributing to the domestic product of Bulgaria. And we see that the percent of the national GDP from the airport, its direct, indirect, induced, and catalytic effects has increased to more than 4%. We know that across Europe generally, every 10% increase in airport connectivity is associated with a 0.5% increase in GDP per capita. That means jobs, it means income, it means opportunity. And that's why the investment challenge is so important for the airport and for the broader community. I think the The situation varies across Europe, and we see countries with very supportive regulatory environments. What is necessary is regulatory stability, predictability, and understandability. And that's what allows the private shareholders and for public airports, public shareholders to ensure that they are delivering the capacity that's needed when it's needed. If that doesn't happen, there are risks. If capital expenditure falls below the needed levels and we're not able to meet the supply or the demand that's needed with supply, then there are repercussions throughout the economy. So we see this as the positive airport economy cycle, where the demand for passengers needs to be matched by the supply that the airport and the aviation ecosystem can put in place in connectivity. This has direct effects in the supply chain into the economy, but also the broader catalytic effects. And beyond the pure economic quantification, which can sometimes feel a bit too numeric and hard to grasp, it's also important to understand that airports have much wider social economic benefits. So we see that airports today across Europe are providing more than 4% of GDP. There are 14 million jobs across Europe, 6% of all employment in Europe from airports. Increasing air connectivity increases the well-being of people. But we also see that increases in airport connectivity are associated with reductions in poverty, with better access to education, more spending in research and development in a country, improved gender equality outcomes, and even more interestingly, it's been quantified that airport connectivity is leading to higher overall life satisfaction. So when we talk about new airport terminals, improving airport terminals, I'll repeat again that this is more than just CapEx into infrastructure, but it's about the overall strategic development of a country. I'm excited to see what comes next for Sofia Airport with T3. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. And if we have to summarize, airports, of course, are not the sole economic driver, but there is no economy that can grow without air connectivity, and that's simple fact. Thank you for your insights. Speaking of and continuing the subject of investments, though, that Manuela started, Bulgaria, for hundreds of years, willingly or unwillingly, had the potential of a regional transport hub. And now, being a part of Schengen area and in a couple of months awaiting to become a member of the Eurozone, can finally capitalize to the maximum on that matter. But how should Bulgaria's investment priorities look to be able to capitalize on its great logistics position, and how can the businesses here work and achieve their maximum goals and realize their strategies? This is what we're going to talk in the next few minutes with Vladimir Mihailovski, who is a representative of the International Finance Corporation in Bulgaria, part of the World Bank Group. We are glad to have you here, and I think it should be working.
I will speak in English because my colleagues from the panels are English speaker. I'm Bulgarian myself. Well, to your question, how the investment strategy should be channeled and how it should look like, I would again go back and give the example of Sofia Airport concession. I had the chance to be part of the team that started the process for concessioning of Sofia Airport from day one. and I was a witness and participant in the entire process, which was quite complicated and uneasy. Probably now is the moment, despite the Bulgarian government is not present today, but now is the moment I want to say a few words of appreciation and positive words about how they approached this matter. Sofia Airport concession was the first scalable strategic public-private partnership that Bulgarian government decided to implement. And the way they did it, the energy, commitment, and resources that the government allocated for this actually paid off very well. Some things that are invisible now, but are extremely important, is the fact that this concession and the success for the time being of the project is putting Sofia Airport and Sofia as a city on the map for large-scale transport infrastructure transactions, and also is increasing the reputation of Bulgaria as a place where well-structured, transparent, and win-win transactions in public-private partnerships can happen. This includes structuring, technical assessment, legal assessment, financial assessment, and structuring of the tender and tender procedure implementation in such a way that the most prominent investors are showing interest, and the most conservative and demanding financial institutions are willing to put and to take the risk of these transactions. So the Sofia Airport transaction is much more than what we heard. It is actually putting the fundament for a long-term strategy in terms of in the field of public-private partnership. And I'm happy to say that today Bulgarian government is building up on this good fundament. There are sizable public-private partnership projects going on today, again for a strategic transport infrastructure, and I have an optimism about the fact that they will be completed successfully, and we will see even more investments in the field. But back to your question, how beyond aviation the situation should develop, probably building and developing of a strong railway backbone is of great importance, of strategic importance. Bulgaria has a fairly well-developed basic network for railways. It is in the process of increasing the quality of infrastructure. The process is going rather slow, but it is still going. And again, I feel that there is an optimism on the side of the private sector, because we see that the private sector is investing. We see private operators, railway operators for cargo business. Soon, probably, we will see operators for passenger operation and service. But the cargo business of the private operators is growing, which means that the expectation that Bulgaria will improve transport infrastructure is in place. And again, another evidence for this is that the financial institutions are supporting this type of investments from the side of private sector, including international financial institutions like ours. Of course, in order to have it sustainable, in order to have it low carbon, which is definitely important, not only onwards, is the investment in greening the fleet of railways, the fleet of trucks, automotive, and ships. So the greening of this fleet making it low carbon and more energy efficient requires substantial investments. This is a very capital consuming and slow process. And probably this is where the state should think about introducing better conditions for the private sector. The private sector is ready to do this. We see the first signs of this, but this is the way Bulgaria can keep the competitiveness. We have certain level of competitiveness in this compared to the operators from Western Europe. Our key competitors in the transport, railway transport are coming from the region, not so much from the Western Europe, but from the regional players. And we have to make our all efforts, we have to put our all efforts in order to capitalize this competitiveness as we have it today. And of course, the macro situation of Bulgaria today looks much better than the macro picture of our neighboring countries and peers, which is good. Of course, entering the Eurozone will make Bulgaria even more attractive, and the overall risk will be reduced. So generally, I think that there is an optimism, despite the fact that the world today is a little bit messy. But in our region, our country, in the area of transport, logistics, and spedition, looks like a more or less attractive place. Thank you.
Let's bring this your optimism forward and say that Sofia, of course, has the privilege to serve as a bridge between Europe and the East and the South and the West. But airports are not just gateways. They are also powerful engines of growth. And this is exactly the topic that we're going to discuss in the next couple of minutes with Pablo Escutia, who is a partner and head of digital in Kearney consulting company. And I'm going to ask you this, how Sofia Airport can generate jobs and stimulate growth and bring these direct and indirect benefits that we spoke about to other industries. Please share your point of view.
Great. Can you hear me? Oh, good, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. This is really a great project. Maybe let me start relating to one of your questions you had earlier. Very interesting about, there was a lack of passengers first, then there was a lack of aircrafts, and it's true that we are right now in a moment of shortage of capacity in airports. We work with airports in Europe and everywhere in the world. And what we are seeing right now, and especially during these days, is precisely the announcements of very large projects in Europe of expansion of capacity that is very needed right now. Very recently, AENA announced a big capacity coming from the next years. AENA is the operator in Spain. Also, in the UK region, Spain and UK are the largest markets in Europe. They both announced very important projects for expansion. Gatwick did very recently, and Heathrow also has its plans for expanding capacity. And that is going to have a spillover effect over all the markets in Europe, including Sofia. So right now, with this new project, Sofia has the opportunity really to be a first mover, right, into capturing that new growth that for sure is coming. Jesus mentioned the main figures of this Terminal 3 expansion, but I wanted to start by saying that Sofia Airport is at a turning point, and it's really this is going to be a very important breakthrough in its development, which, by the way, has been a very successful story until now, and for sure is going to continue being a success story. But right now, in 2025, it is expected to end around 8 million passengers, with 6 billion tons in GHG emissions, with 2 unconnected terminals as of now, and in the way to become a 4-star airport in 2031, when the new project comes, it will almost double the capacity, will reach 11 million passengers, will have 20 million passengers available capacity, reduced the emissions by a half almost, operate the terminals in a connected way, and certainly in the way to become a five-star airport. Now, what are the implications that will have over Sofia and over the Bulgarian economy? So there are three main points here to highlight. First of all, the increase in the competitiveness of Sofia and Bulgaria, and large improvement compared to other airports in the region. Second, the increase in connectivity, and that as a catalyzer for growth. And that growth will translate, the third point, into creating new jobs and contributing greatly to the GDP growth. Now, let me go into each of these points. In terms of competitiveness, and if you take in the region, what are the competing airports in a comparable size of Sofia, you have them there in an area of 500 kilometers in the Balkans, but also maybe a little bit farther, like in Hungary, Budapest, or Zagreb. And there are here two factors which are important for the competitiveness. First of all, what are the airport charges? You probably see in the news, airlines decide a lot where to put their connectivity, where the charges are more competitive. That's very important for all airlines. Well, right now, Sofia has the lowest airport charges in the region. Sometimes, compared to other airports, even by more than half. So Sofia is very, very competitive. Another factor as well is not only competitiveness, but what is the capacity available for the airlines to grow. And that's what is shown in the third row. That ratio is the available capacity divided by the population of the country. So how many times the airport has the capacity of the population of the country. And as you can see, Sofia with Terminal 3 will have 3 times, 20 million passengers will be like 3 times the population of the country. So there will be enough room for growth and enough capacity for all the airlines really to deploy and to connect with Sofia. So in terms of competitiveness, these two factors. Now, in terms of connectivity, so with Terminal 3, the capacity will be 20 million. So that means that the airlines will have 11 million additional capacity for growth. And as we said earlier, with very competitive rates, so that will attract and will be a lever for growth, attracting top airlines as the ones that ＳOФ Кънект has right now, even growing in that connectivity and expanding into new routes. The third point is about growth and how that is going to translate into the economy. So by 2031, the number of passengers will reach 11.2 million. That means almost 2.8 million more passengers than is expected to end 2025. That will translate in a GDP contribution, increase in GDP to the economy of close to 1 billion, which will generate 30,000 new jobs. Those 30,000 new jobs are important not only because of the number, but because of the quality of the jobs generated. Airports generate jobs and contribute to growth in their own ecosystem through these direct, indirect, and induced factors that were explained earlier by Michael, and that will generate 10,000 direct jobs in that airport ecosystem around, as I said, very high quality sectors like maintenance, MRO, ground handling, technology, retail. An airport ecosystem generates a lot of growth around that. But also it will generate an additional 20,000 jobs into the induced sectors, the catalytic sectors that were mentioned earlier, in tourism, in logistics, in the industry, in services. So in sum, this is really a breakthrough for the airport, for Sofia, for the country. This is going to increase the competitiveness, to improve the connectivity, and be really an enabler for growth in the future for the next 30 years for Bulgaria.
Thank you. Thank you, Pablo, and I thank you all for your valuable perspectives. In Bulgaria, we have a saying that 3 is a lucky number, and I truly believe that Terminal 3 of Sofia Airport, Vasil Levski, will bring positives not only for the citizens and the guests of the Bulgarian capital, but also for the broader connectivity, as you said, and for the economic prosperity of Bulgaria and Europe and the whole region. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
Сега е време за кратка 20-минутна кафе пауза, така че можете да се възползвате от нея. След това продължаваме с втори дискусионен панел, който се казва "Логистика с компас".